All right, we are live for another episode of Real Estate Junkies podcast. Today we are doing something different. We have an interview with Dr. Josh Henk, a doctor of chiropractic and expert in human performance. He brings a unique perspective to business success, success in life altogether. In this episode, we are going to explore his 4 Ts to transcendence, he calls it, and how they can help real estate business owners achieve balance, purpose, and growth in their personal and professional lives. Doctor, it's been a long time, huh? Long time no see. Or
No,
was
I
it
think I saw you just a couple days ago, man. Are you kidding
yesterday,
me?
bro?
Yeah, I know when you guys are here because your son is just like, "Where's my bread? Where's my bread?"
I know it was the wrong day, right? The bread's probably there
Yeah, it
today,
doesn't
huh?
matter because he always spreads that cheer every time he comes in. He's always excited, and that's what I love most about the work that we do is, children like really love it, and I think that's a good testament of the success of any business is if children are free to be invited and they feel comfortable,
Yeah.
in the presence. So we definitely love your kids, man. They're definitely something special. Oh man, I can't wait to see them grow up.
No, it's been an experience. I don't know how long has it been? Over a year now that we are working with you, and I was my wife was saying something the other day. It was like, imagine how we came across Dr. Josh, right? And I was like, what do you mean? It's like I'm like, how did we come across Dr. Josh, right? And she was like, I was looking for a holistic doctor for Ibrahim at the time, right? And we found Dr. Deb, and we went there and we didn't even know it was your place. We thought we were going to Dr. Deb's place, right? And then now, I mean, we thought we were holistic back then, right? We thought we were healthy people, right? But coming across you, right, this whole journey has completely shifted our perspective when it comes to holistic living, right? And when it comes to living healthy, and the program we've been through, right? It's been life changing for us, especially. But anyway, welcome to the podcast. Let's get like I wanna before we get into our discussion, I want to talk about your journey. If you can share your journey into your practice right now. What inspired you to start focusing on holistic growth and transcendence?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. You already know that. Luckily, I get that question asked a lot and in many different ways by many different people. And I think it's important to understand our audience when we're approaching this question. And I like to start from where the beginning is, where my life starts, and then where it is now. You said the word practice.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how what we do now is not a practice; it's something else. And
Mm.
uh, it all starts, when I was a young person. I grew up in a divorced family. When I was 3 years old, my parents separated, and my parents came from overseas. My father did, and my mother, she's American. I went to church on Sunday, and I went to the mosque on Friday. My whole life, I was torn between two belief systems, and it's this funny thing, as you know, in our culture, uh, it's you got to be engineer, you got to be doctor, you got to be one of those two things. At the very least, you got to be successful because that's like the reputation, right? They're very prideful, and we've learned a lot about pride,
Mm.
but I've learned to really love it and accept it as their form of love, and they
Yeah.
really want the best for us. But as a young person, that was really hard on me,
Mhm.
and anytime I had that resistance, whether it was from culture or it was from a professor, I would run from it. So I went to pre-med, and I didn't really like it very much. It didn't resonate with my spiritual side,
Mm.
and so I left and I went into art school, and I got a good a scholarship for College for Creative Studies, and I studied all different artists and learned about sculptures and paintings and drawings and models and all this stuff. And I ran from that too, So I was like, well, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be an artist, and I was a good artist too. Okay, and I wasn't the best, but I was really good, and I was like failing, having a C and a D. They were telling me I was average, when if I looked around at other people's stuff, my stuff was above average. But they followed within the lines of the professor, and my whole life my dad always used to say, "Oh well, you got to learn the hard way, son." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, Dad. Y'all got divorced when I was 3 years old, and everybody told me you're the man of the house, right?" So that made me a very strong leader to begin with,
Mm.
because I was told from a 3-year-old that I was the leader of the house. I was the man of the house. So I literally did what I thought the man of the house had to do. While my dad was getting a higher education, trying to continue to build a better life for my sister and I. My mom had to raise 5 children, and I was the oldest. So I was like, Mom, I'll take care of myself. You just deal with them, right? So I learned the hard way, literally. Fast forward to where I am now, I find myself in chiropractic school, which is a blend between artistry, the respect of our creator and how he designed the body, just like an artist designed a sculpture
Yeah.
using like this foresight, right? And then also the science, because chiropractic offers the science behind it. We learned all of what I was learning in pre-med school, but instead of leading me down the path of drugs and surgery and people were diseased and their
Mm.
potential was very minimal
Yeah.
and there was no spirituality into it or love or personality for that matter. I loved chiropractic because it was the blend between two. It was
Yeah.
the blend between science and everything I was learning as a young person about the spirit, the Holy Spirit,
Mm.
about other cultures that look at chi, that look at energy, that look at how the body functions, and I was learning about things like the nervous system.
Yeah.
Fast forward to where we are now. We have Transcendence Family Wellness Center, Henk Research and Diagnostics. We run a protocol for doctors called the Hard Way for Doctors, which is a human analysis, research, and development. And what are we researching and developing? New techniques to elevate human consciousness and optimal function. It's all about becoming the best version of yourself. And truthfully speaking, when people become better versions of themselves, as you, your children, or my children, I did not accelerate their ability. I just got them closer to the place where I would say God intended us to be. So we're like getting close to par.
Yeah.
My kids are not advanced.
Yeah.
They're just closer
They're
to
just
how we
aligned.
were created.
Yeah.
We just live in such a sick environment, and that leads us to the 4 T's, which are thoughts, traumas, toxins, and technology. And those are the things that get in the way of the body healing itself.
Mm.
So where we are now is we don't practice, right? Because doctors who practice, well, you want to do that in private, right? The third leading cause of death in America
Yeah.
is medical error. So I would understand why a lot of doctors call it private practice. Because if what you're doing is private, and it's probably not like a sure thing. But
Yeah.
what we do is we do public mastery,
Mm.
because chiropractic is based off of a mastery. It's an understanding that when the body's in alignment, it just works better. It's
Yeah.
simple. Your
Yeah.
teeth are in alignment, they look and function better. It's
Mm. Yeah.
simple. When your diet's in alignment, when your schedule's in alignment, when your family's in alignment, whatever. Alignment and harmony is a principle of nature. And when that's in alignment, you'll be healthy. And so we start with that principle. And the body's a governing system, right? The nervous system has an organization, has a management system. And
Mm.
so that's when you're looking at any business, we got to look at what is the infrastructure. The nervous system organizes all of the pieces.
Mm.
So we talk about knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Organized knowledge is power. So
Wow.
that's where management and systems come in place, right? Henry Ford created the assembly line and he brought together the best minds. He wasn't a smart man himself, but he knew he didn't have to know everything that they did and
Mm.
go through all the schooling and the time it took. He said, I just got to know their phone number. And let's bring them together on this idea of creating a mastermind. And
Yeah.
what could we do if we combined all of our ideas? What could we create? And that's where he created one of the best cars at the time. Nowadays, cars are just created by whoever can get the job on the line, right? So the assembly line is not actually what it was meant to be, which is the
Yeah.
best of the best of their fields,
Yeah.
not just whoever can get the job, right?
That's amazing. We say that. I say this too in my academy is that, hey, knowledge is not power. Implemented knowledge is power. But now
Yeah,
I just learned something. Is that
yeah.
organized knowledge is power, and which is
Organized
pretty much
knowledge is power.
implementation, right, of knowledge.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge, but they don't know what to do with it. And that's what we've done here at Transcendence. If we organize the knowledge, we have a system of analysis using scientific tools like blood work, thermography, X-ray, ultrasound, food sensitivity test, whatever you want to test, you name it. And if you don't know about it, I'll introduce it to you. But
Yeah.
what that does is it gives us an organization to where we need to start with your body. And
Mm.
because we don't have a bias with an insurance company who says they'll pay for this or that, and my incentive is to for you to get better,
Yeah.
right? We create a system free of bias that is exactly what you need. And if you're the person who's a great implementer,
Yeah.
it'll work. But at the end of the day, you've seen this. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've seen this. You put all the utilities and the tools right in front of the person. You know it's going to work. It's worked many times, right? But the person doesn't implement those tools,
Yeah.
right? So you can create as you have the academy, and it's not that it doesn't work. And the people that say that it doesn't, they didn't implement it.
Yeah. No,
So you got to
it's
implement
like
it.
clockwork. Every single time we have had agents. I mean, we have hundreds of agents, business owners, team leaders, brokers that have gone, came in, gone, right? And a lot of them seen success because we actually bring people in that have the right mindset. We don't let everyone in, right? That's I learned that after like 2 years of
Yeah,
running the academy. Is that, hey, this is not for everyone. Not everyone would appreciate that. There is only a certain category of agents that I will focus and spend my time, energy, effort, resources on. It's not about profit to me it's like, hey, I'm going to make profit. I could sell houses and make profit. I don't have to do this to make profit. But let's from a business point of view, right? How did you build your practice into what it is today, right? And I think my personal journey, our as a family, a personal experience, what we have seen, right, is different than any other, right? I mean, I was with the chiropractor, that I was, visiting, I think, for 6 months, and no change in my, alignment, let's just say, right, let alone everything else, right? What are some of the biggest challenges from a business perspective you have faced along the way to build the business that you have today?
well, that's a great response. I get that question a lot. People come into the office and say, "Hey, doc, how's business?" And my response to them, "What business?" And they're like, "What? The one that I'm here for." And I was like, "You're here for a business?" And they go, "Well, what do you mean?" I was like, "This is a ministry, bro. Like, I could be selling houses. I could make more money selling houses with this smile. Are you kidding me? I could sell beard oils on Instagram, for more money than I make in chiropractic." Right? I love being able to put my hands on people and allow the Holy Spirit to gain access to every cell that is dying in their body.
Mm,
That's why I show up every day, and it works,
mm,
right? And
yeah.
I've developed a strategy to where I can now minister and teach, right? So the priority is to operate your business as if it's a ministry.
Mm,
When you think of it like a ministry, you can actually create it into a nonprofit, which is what we have done
yeah.
because it's a ministry. There's an element to what we do as a ministry. So discover what the element of what you do in the ministry part of it and operate as if it's a ministry. Now, if we need to make money, yeah, you gotta, it's okay. You can make money out of the ministry to cover the overhead, but you
Yeah.
learn something from your ministry. That's what you sell. So
Yeah.
all of what I've learned from your guys' case and everybody that I've taken care of that has helped me to help you guys even more, I try to look at a bottom line and see exactly what is necessary and collect the research. And then I teach other doctors how to do this, just
Mm,
as you do. This is about not you trying to sell all the houses in the world, but you leveraging your knowledge and your wisdom and and the implementations that you've learned and the successes and the failures as well,
yeah.
right? You talk
Yeah.
about over six figures you've lost
Mm,
before, right? And over six figures you've invested in yourself, right? So that's a definition of a winner. And you
yeah.
want to know what's something really funny? And I got a little distracted a minute ago.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is I was just on a podcast before you,
Yeah.
and you have a freaking Yoda stamp on your back, and he had the same exact one.
That's funny.
Yeah, synchronicity, man. Synchronicity. That's crazy. I'll post it later. We'll
I
take a
know, right? That's
screenshot.
crazy. It is, isn't that a coincidence? And actually, that my wife said, "What's the coincidence and what's the coincidence? Your sister being married to someone that I actually, your brother-in-law's,
Mhm.
your sister's husband's brother was a friend of mine that when I came to America, I don't know, 5 years that I kind of grew up with in America,
Mhm.
and when I ran across him, I'm like, how? How is this
There's
happening?
no coincidences, as you know, right? If
Yeah.
anything, those are the small miracles that get us to be like, oh wow, there's more out here, And
And
whether it is
oh yeah, another coincidence with you is that you live on the next block of my parents. You
oh
run it
yeah,
into.
I always used to see your kids playing out there, over the last few years. But it wasn't until we actually met each other, and then Ibrahim was there. He was like, "Hey, Dr. Josh," and I was like, "Eve?" Is that you? He's like, yeah, oh, yeah. I was like, dang, hey, what up? No, of course you can spot me in like a crowd easily, but man, it's yeah, that was always fun. Yeah, so
Well,
and
clearly
that
both of us have ADHD.
well, but this always brings us back to your question is it's like I don't see what I do as a business. And
Mm,
that's a simple answer,
yeah,
to your question is I see as what I do as a ministry. And from that becomes the comet, the tail is the money. And I tell you what, it's not even about the money. I get access, I get invitations, people cut me deals. I do barters. Like I elevate in life in different ways, and I know people. Your net worth is
your net.
like who you know, right? Your network is your net worth, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah,
And I have gotten to know some of the coolest, most authentic people. So ministry and authenticity.
yeah.
If you're a real estate agent and you want to wear freaking toe shoes and a checkered shirt or fanny pack like fanny pack Dave, and you want to be long hair, do it. They
Yeah.
told me in school that if I had a beard, long hair, I had piercings. If you had you didn't wear a nice shirt and a tie and nice shoes, you were not going to succeed. I broke all the rules because it wasn't authentic,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So authenticity is so key to what you do. And I mentioned, kid
yeah,
friendly environment, stuff like that. And that was what I feel like a success because people see the human in you. And
yeah,
in reality, there's so many chiropractors that are great at what they do. What's important is that you find someone who has chemistry with you, who resonates with you. And it might have been the upbringing that we have had that connected us, or culture,
yeah,
or whatever it is. But ultimately, what happens in a mastermind, whether it's with a lot of people or just two people, is there's a soul conversation that happens, and you just know. And when your body's clear, it's like what I always tell my people who are entrepreneurs. If you want to gain access to another level, and no matter what you are doing, you have to get healthier, because we know that we're only challenged with what strengths and opportunities that we're able to handle. And if we're not healthy enough to handle more, all of that opportunity that is there for you is not coming,
mm,
because you can't stay up later, because you need to sleep earlier, because you're sicker, you're not eating healthier food, you're not exercising, you're not detoxing, your
mm,
spine's not in alignment, you don't have time for rest and meditation and vacation time, you're not investing in yourself, you're not giving, you're not doing those things to nourish your body. So an easy way to leverage success in what you do is to invest in yourself. As you say, you invested thousands of dollars, not just in your health, right? But in
yeah.
so many other ways.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
for
my
sure. And this is in alignment with a lot of the things that we teach real estate business owners, right? Like, don't be transactional, be transformational, right? Like,
Mhm.
focus on discovering where people are and the problems that they have, and providing them with solution. And honestly, like, if I were to be honest with, like, okay, why do I feel like there's a lot of value, being part of your practice, is that we truly felt like there was a discovery process where, you didn't just, the other chiropractor that I work with is like, hey, you just come in and we just crack your neck and you pay, your monthly payment and we're good to go, right? It wasn't like, we truly feel like, hey, there is this, it's not just about, coming in here, getting an alignment, or, getting cracking your back, right? It's about, there is a holistic approach to this, and this is what we teach inside of the academy, is that you got to take holistic approach. Someone comes up to you, wants to buy a house, you don't just sell them a house. You really look into, do they need a house? Because for us, for our business, there's a lot of emotional decision making. So there, a lot of our clients, they just decide to buy a house, sell a house, build a house based on the life cycle they're going through, the emotional state they're in. And there's a lot of real estate agents out there. They just, hey, my job is to just sell them a house. They want to buy a house. I just sold them a house. And, it turns out to be most of the time that the buyer has a lot of buyer remorse, because they felt like, oh, I didn't, need what I bought, or, what I bought doesn't fit my need. Right. Now,
Right.
like, let's talk about 4 Ts, right? I think that's what I found really interesting. I overheard you talk to a patient when I was there. I don't know, what was this, few months ago now, that I
Yeah.
wanted to get you on the podcast. why do you think the four T's are so important? And, especially business owners like us who are involved in so much when it comes to building a business, right? What's the benefit of learning more about these four T's? Let's talk about that. Tell us more about four T's.
Well, the four T's, again, of transcendence are thoughts, traumas, toxins, and technology. Those are the four categories. So when people come into the office and they're out of alignment,
Hmm.
well, I put them in alignment. So how do they go back out?
Yeah.
Because there's something in those four categories that is tripping the fuse box, right?
Yeah.
The nervous system is just a fuse box. When
Hmm.
something emotionally, in the mental, right, in your thought process, toxicities in the body, physical traumas to the body, and technology, it interferes with the body's expression of health. So
Hmm.
you have to be overloading your circuitry on some level. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm an electrician. I'll come to your house, I'll flip the circuit breaker.
Yeah.
But if you plug in that curling iron and you overload the fuse box and the Christmas lights at the same time, you're going to call me up next week, right?
Yeah.
And if I just keep coming to flip the fuse box, I'm making the $80 every time, but you're not actually fixing the problem. So someone like you said that complimented is this not implicit care, like, oh, you're already a part of the care. It's like, oh, yeah, there's parts of it like, okay, we know you want to buy a house, I'm probably your guy, but there's also just like there's a specificity to each person on how
Hmm.
you take care of them and exactly what they need. Do they need to be close to a school? And when we talk about the house, the first house you live in is your body,
Yeah.
right? Your body is what happens when we die. I don't know, but this thing is here. This house is here. Your
Yeah.
house that you have is not going to be yours forever, and the one that you're wanting to buy is not going to be theirs probably forever. That's the reality. So what we're in reality selling them is a temporary solution, even
Yeah.
though it may seem long term.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing when people are looking for doctors. We're real
Yeah.
estate agents for their body's health. The biggest thing of the four T's is the thought process, right? Is the thoughts. Now, I invite people to see that thoughts themselves aren't bad for us. Like
No.
toxins, chemicals aren't bad for us. Some toxic chemicals are actually good for us. Like vitamins, they could be toxic, they could also be good, right?
Mm. Mm.
There's some traumas like going to the gym. That's traumatic for your body. That's
Yeah.
traumatic stress, but it actually builds muscle too,
Mm.
right? Technology is connecting you and I right now. So there's
Mhm.
some good in with it too. So let's talk not about the good and bad of them all. Let's look at stress not as the cause of disease, but let's look at stress as part of the equation.
Yeah.
Stress leads to health and sickness, but it's stress plus adaptation that
Mm.
equals health. Stress plus maladaptation or failure to adapt. So when the body's not adapting, right? You get punched and you punch back, you get sick, you get hurt, right? If
Yeah.
something comes into your nose and you don't sneeze,
Mm.
that's actually healthy, but they tell you you're sick when you're sneezing, right? So I break through the mind first,
Yeah.
and we have to unbrainwash you. Everything they taught you about your symptoms being bad and all of
Yeah.
that, those are
Yeah.
all good things, right? So we got to look at negative stress, stress that
Mm.
doesn't serve you on your highest level as a human being. And one man's stress is another man's pleasure. One man's pleasure is another man's stress.
Yeah.
So the stress is not the same for everybody, right? In a business, you have to identify for your clients what that stress is going to be, number one, emotionally. So you can apply these four T's to real estate. You have to identify at least three of the major stress points that you're trying to alleviate or
Mm.
free that your buyer from or your seller
Yeah.
from in their current home.
Yeah.
What are they trying to leave from? And they're hoping that that's going to replace,
Yeah.
right? Or vice versa,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you got to find out what that is, because the home that they're getting into should be a healthier environment for them. Just
Yeah.
like the advice I give people to their thoughts, I want to leave them with ideas and thoughts that allow them to be healthier mentally, because
Mm.
that's one of the four T's that we need to have in balance
Yeah.
to have health, right? The
Yeah.
next thing we need to have is the physical traumas, right? So
Mm.
exercise is good physical trauma, but getting in a car accident is bad, right?
Yeah.
Slipping on the ice and not doing it, or your kid falling down the stairs, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what do we do? And you're like, I don't know, he's not bleeding, so we can't take him to the hospital. Well, just don't let him go to sleep, right? You've heard that one.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? There's something you can go to and do between not doing anything, don't fall asleep, and emergency. It's called
Mm.
chiropractic.
Yeah.
Get your spine checked, right?
Yeah.
So you guys bring your kids in for all the little bumps and bruises, and some of them they're out of alignment. Sometimes the kids do a couple flips and they're still fine,
Mm.
right? Chiropractic's not for kids that fall on their head. It's for
Yeah.
kids who fall on their head and don't adapt well,
Yeah.
right? So adaptation is key. Physical stress is good for us if we're adapting well. Chiropractic puts that in alignment. So then you got to look at your clients if you're a real estate agent and you're looking at, well, what are the top three key physical stresses I'm trying to alleviate? Is it the amount of
Mm.
time they have driving in the car? How
Yeah.
far it is from a park? What is the physical stress that you have? Right? Zillow even has the score of the distance you have going from home, right? And all
Yeah.
this stuff, right? They have that. What is the
Yep.
physical stress? They already know this. Like,
Mm.
what is? They already know the four T's, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Number three is going to be toxins, right?
Mm.
And so we know that a lot of the homes nowadays are in a toxic environment, and this is something that's probably not going to be a huge thing
Yeah.
for most people. They're not. Oh, but a lot of times you hear, though, our house has mold, or we want to find a house that has no mold in it, and that is key because that can easily eliminate all kinds of houses and strategies, right?
Yeah.
Well, our house has mold, we have all these health issues, or bringing up like, hey, wow, your kid sounds like they have allergies. And I don't mean to intrude now, but have you guys ever thought about maybe having a mold test in your house? Like, oh, and you could be almost a health advocate, right? And it's like, oh, I know you guys are building a new house here. Have you guys ever thought about using low VOC paints before you put it in there?
Yeah.
Like, and being more inquisitive, being like
Mm.
letting people know this. Like, did you know that your house is a sanctuary? That perhaps it could be an unhealthy environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily know the exact angle you could take for the chemical conversation or the
Yeah.
toxic conversation, but a lot of times people are moving out to rural areas because they don't like the toxic air, they don't like the
Yeah.
toxic soil, they
Yeah.
don't like the toxic, hustle and bustle. They like to be in a rural area, have
Yeah.
some land. If that's important for the family, we need to understand that. Well, that's important for the body to be healthy too, to
Mm.
be on some land. So the same principles agents need to have when they're working with their clients, I need to have when I'm working with people, because
Yeah.
it's just what's right for people. And maybe even transforming them in their ideas and saying, I know you have this idea that this is what you want, but I invite you to see that a lot of what you're looking for is actually over here,
Yeah.
right? Could
Yeah.
you and I go have coffee down the street? Because you guys said that you guys like to have breakfast twice a week. Well, I got this great breakfast spot. So let's go meet, talk about the potential options in your area at this great breakfast spot that I hope you're going to stop at once a week, right? And now you're getting in their headspace a little more.
Yeah.
Last thing is technology, and I know you got this figured out with AI, right? So in healthcare, we use AI to look at blood work and to
Yeah.
look at all that stuff to see what is interfering. We know EMF radiation can cause damage to our
Mm.
health,
Yeah.
right? But it is also connecting us human beings to one another. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to have a safe balance to the amount and the quality that we use. Um, Social media, red lights, blue lights,
Yeah.
green lights, LED lights, EMF. Essentially, um, when it comes to leveraging the fourth T, which is technology, technology can be used to make you lazy, right? It can
Yeah.
also empower you to operate on the highest frequencies in ideas that AI just cannot do. At least
Yeah.
right now, it can't,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like, from hearing from you and why we connected so well and why this is so applicable is because those are the same principles of your academy.
No,
Like,
now
those
that
are
I
literally the principles.
think of it, we apply this, right? So for us thoughts, this is our 1 week into our academy. Okay, like literally address all four T's. Okay, so we give them the operating system, the mind, right? Like the mindset they need to implement to build a successful business, right? This is like the mind. Okay, so you
Yeah.
gotta be aligned, you gotta be grateful, and you gotta be in a framework of giving constantly, right? So you can't just look like, oh, where is the deal, where is the deal? No, who do I give, who do I give? That's the operating system. So we fix the mind, and then the other three, the trauma, dealing with turning your past negatives into positive, we teach that in the academy. This is all in the first week.
Yeah.
The technology, what you're inputting versus outputting, right? So what you input is what you output. You don't output more than input. Like
Yeah.
literally input equals output. So if
Hmm.
you're out there binge watching Netflix, binge scrolling social media, and listening to stuff that you shouldn't be listening to, watching stuff you shouldn't be watching. That's what you output in life, right? Altogether, right? And then
Hmm.
the last one, what is it? Thought,
Toxic.
trauma. What is it? Toxin. Yes. What do you eat? What do you like? This is like literally, we give them a 30-day tracker for them to track these four T's. Okay, literally. So why? Because after the 30 days, usually in our academy, we see a boop, like people dropping in their
Good.
performance. And when they track themselves for that 30-day, and they could drop if they want to, I get to see the tracker, and I get to say, hey, this and this is your problem, right? And I get to help them, and they literally pick back up, right? And usually I have seen, it's been 4 years of me training and coaching agents. I have seen, after that pickup, they keep going, right? Because we just literally pinpoint, because not everyone has problem with everything. Usually you have, agents that we work with, a certain patterns that they just need to break, right, and recreate, right? So we just help them identify those broken patterns that they need to identify and they need to rebuild on, right? But now that I think of it, wow, like I haven't thought of it that way. We don't maybe get as deep as you do with your practice, but I guess, like, how does holistic growth, right, tie into success in a business, and why should business owners prioritize that, bringing that balance with their life, health, their spirit, and their business?
Well, it goes back to the fundamental question that we all have is why are we here?
Mm,
Like, what is this?
yeah.
Like, no, seriously. Like, it's easy to get caught up in the entertainment and the Lions game on Sunday or Monday, and we got to go to work and this and that, and that's like the distraction that's out there. But in those moments where you get that peace, even if it's for 3 seconds of nirvana, of
Mm,
just like, I'm here. I'm a human being. I could do anything.
hmm.
Like, and then ding, like all of a sudden, it's like, whew, we get pulled out of it, and it becomes something so difficult as a human being, uh, and that's why this is so important is doing academy because structure provides freedom. The number one law of success is confidence. You can only get confidence if you conquered your fears. There's 7 deadly fears. One of the 7 deadly fears is a fear of a loss of liberty, which is you fear being caged up. That's why men and women, we don't like being in relationships or being locked into contracts because we fear not having freedom,
Yep.
right? We
Yep.
don't like jail because it's a
Certainty.
mortal
Yeah.
fear that we have, right? So being locked in, we're locked into the old ways.
Hmm.
And we have to gain confidence over that. Structure provides freedom. So if someone wants to get out of the fear of being locked in a certain way, you have to have structure. What your academy does provide structure, just as what our system does provide structure. We're a structured system that allows you for those times when you go down, we're here to pick you back up, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a structure to it. Places that don't have a structure, they're flying by the seat of their pants. And maybe that works. I've done that before. And in parts of what I do, I'm still doing it, right? That's how we innovate what
Yeah.
we do, but we have to take the time to put down the structure.
Hmm.
And so that's a big thing right now for me is structure, because it provides freedom. Organized knowledge is power. Implemented knowledge is also power, as you said,
Yeah.
right? Because both of them imply action, doing something with
Yeah.
it. Or when we organize it, what are we doing? We're structuring it. Ultimately, what it provides is freedom. And isn't
Yeah.
that what we want? Is we want to have freedom to where there's a deal just got sold and I'm in Tahiti or I'm in Malibu and I got all my needs, right? Isn't that what we always want? An endless bank account from da 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 da. Like seriously, that's
But
what
you
we
can't
all
you
want.
can't do you can't have that without systems. You can't have
No,
that
you
without
have to have
structure. Yeah.
systems in place, and
Yeah.
if you don't come up with the systems yourself, that's okay. Like somebody else may have the system. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
Maybe you can join a system. Maybe
Yeah.
you're just never meant to be the creator of a system, but you're a great implementer. So I
Yeah.
know that self-awareness, knowing yourself,
Mm.
is so key as a doctor. Knowing your clients is so key as a doctor. The cool part is if you learn to humble yourself before the law,
Mm.
when you meet somebody, the conversation has already been had.
Hmm.
So if you stop trying to be the agent and and in the way that you saw it on TV, if you stop trying to be the doctor, you know, in the way you saw it on TV, that the Holy Spirit kind of already knew was already being played on TV the whole time. And
No.
so when you show up as an authentic, this is your doctor, dude. Doesn't even his hair is all messed up and shit. Like, did he even shave today? Like, dude, I got more important things to do than that. You know, like
Yeah.
I got way more important things to do than look good for you. I have fun. I want to, you know, biggest thing I feel like I hope that we have is fun here in the office. And that's what you all need to do as agents and mechanics,
Hmm.
lawyers, whoever's watching this. Y'all need to be happy and you need to have fun. Stop taking yourself so damn seriously
Seriously.
and start taking what you do seriously, though. Take what you do very seriously, you know, and just have fun, you know, get to know them and anything else. Anytime an analytical answer comes in, make sure you have your stuff answered,
Yeah.
right? I can't tell you how many people have shown my house, other agents, and they don't know anything about my house. And then I tell them all about my house and all this stuff, and they're like, oh my gosh, right? It's like, dude, do you even research the house you're bringing your clients into? Or you just, oh, statistically, if I take them to 10 houses, they're going to pick one. And right. But don't you want that person to refer for you long term? Right.
Yeah, bro. They couldn't even tell you the lockbox code. They used the code to open the lockbox.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Two
It's
minutes
easy.
later.
I know. And there's so many things that I feel like we just miss. And it's okay on the surface. Our ego can sometimes block us. And the three main things, you know, and maybe we'll talk
Yeah.
about this in different podcasts,
Yeah.
is a cheapskate, lazy ass, egomaniac. Those are the three main reasons why
Wow.
why buyers are not buying, and those are the three main reasons why people don't start, you know, healthcare,
Hmm.
or any transaction is because everything they do is either because they're cheapskates, they're egomaniac, they think they know it all. I already know it all. What I'm doing is good enough. A lot of doctors, they're like, why would I learn more?
I already
So they're
went through 12
lazy.
years of school.
Yeah. So they're lazy ass. Why am I going to learn more, right? I already what I do is already good enough. Oh, egomaniac. I don't need to do blood work. I know you have thyroid problem. I'm guru. Okay. Really? Okay. Yeah. I'm pretty good. I've done over 2,000 different blood analysis on people. I'm pretty good. Okay. Still, I do complete analysis, right? So and that cheapskate. Oh man. Oh,
It's
I
gonna
wasn't
cost
gonna
me this
buy.
much.
What's that?
It's gonna cost me this much to do what I do already.
I have a thermal camera, right? It costs $30,000. Okay, but when I was thinking about buying it, I'm like, huh, $30,000, sheesh. And the guys are like, oh, but yeah, you can, you know, charge this much money for it and everything. And I'm in ministry, so I'm like, great. I'm not, you know, I don't like the whole you can make money off of people. If I could do it for free, I would. So that didn't interest. That wasn't a selling tactic that I like to hear from people. Oh, you can make money off of it. I don't care. I'm over that. I'm not trying to make money off of it. How is this going to increase the diagnostic accuracy of what I'm already doing?
Hmm.
I think I'm pretty good as it is, but if this test can actually make me better, I'm all for it. So the ego has to humble itself.
Yeah.
I know that cheapskate, lazy ass, and egomaniac are the three biggest barriers for people to move forward because I'm the biggest one. The difference is I'm self-aware. I'm not too proud to admit when my ego is like, "Oh, doc, come on, man, you really don't know." So when people ask me, "Should I take vitamin C?" I start getting into my, "Oh yeah, brain, start taking this." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I really don't know. First, let's get the blood work, right? Let's get the blood work first, and then let's figure it out. First, get the appraisal. Then we'll start talking about the houses and stuff that you want to do. Don't give me, like go get an appraisal first before we talk about
Yeah.
the houses. You know, so there's all kinds of stuff. Is let's get the diagnostics done first,
No,
right?
this is interesting. I never thought of the lazy part. So my in our academy, like when they get in the first week, they learn that there's two ways they would fail, right? Ego and fear, and which is basically cheapskate, right? Which is basically being
Lack of
afraid
abundance.
of there is not enough, or there is too much competition, or they're not good enough and they don't believe in yourself on themselves.
That's a
Or
fear of
the other
poverty.
part is just being egotistic. I'm too good. Like, who are you to teach me, right? Or who are they to reject me, right? Why do I need to prove myself to them, and why do I need to handle the objection? Why do I need to provide them value? They should hire me at the full commission anyway, right? So, but I guess for me, it's like I don't understand lazy. I just don't understand
I'll give
lazy.
you a prime example. I've had probably 20 different showings on my house, right? And not an ounce of feedback from them. Why? Because my realtor, who's my friend, who's giving me a good deal and stuff, whatever. We're gonna talk about this later, right? But he has not reached out to ask. He
Yeah,
doesn't want to be
yeah,
confrontational, or he doesn't want to
yeah,
get bad feedback. Feedback is
mm,
feedback. What do we want to do? Come on, we're trying to sell this damn house. It's not about you, me, right?
yeah,
This
yeah,
lazy ass. Oh yeah, you want to be a successful realtor? Then go knock on every door and be like, hey, I'm Jake. I'm the realtor in your area. I actually am a neighbor of yours. I live right down the street. I know you're probably not selling your house right now. I did a quick Zillow checkup, and this is what your house is worth. If at any time you guys ever need somebody, I just want to introduce myself and say I'm right here. Why wouldn't they do that? Because they're like, I'm too good to do that.
yeah.
Egomaniac, right?
Or
Lazy
afraid
ass.
that, oh, what are they gonna say? What if they shut the door on me, right?
Yeah, and you know what? They can get over that. It's laziness because every culture, come on, it says laziness is the thief in the night that will come and steal your life from you. And you wake up and it's gone.
Wow.
Laziness.
Mm,
Laziness is the thief in the night that will steal your life
mm,
from you. And that's one of the worst ones of all of them. You're lazy. You don't want to learn anymore. Right? I don't want to do the laziness. I'm a pretty damn lazy person, right? Bill Gates also said he hire a lazy person over a smart person because he'll find the easiest route to do the job, right? So there's some benefit to being lazy, maybe,
yeah,
right? But and the whole idea behind is like, man, the cheapskate, egomaniac, lazy ass, just be aware. Those three things are going to drive you. They're going to hold you back every
yeah,
day.
yeah,
Every morning you got to wake up and you got to start with make your bed, brush your teeth, build momentum, because your success that shows up. Like I say that there's stories about how like Jesus, for example, he would walk into a room and people would just heal. Why? Because he had the highest vibration.
mm,
If you walk into a room full of pianos and you play one piano, one note, all of the pianos will play that are tuned to the same frequency. You
wow.
don't have to play them, just one, and they'll all vibrate. And so you see, inside of all of us is a boss agent. But you have to be around another boss agent in order for that to come out and play,
Yeah,
right? And so there's an infinite healing potential inside of all of us. And so that's why you have to have that vibrational frequency. That's why you have to be a healthy boss agent,
yeah,
because when you show up, health exudes from you. People
yeah,
are like, man, I kind of want to be around you because I like your energy, your
yeah.
laughter. Matter of fact, come to my kid's graduation, my bar
Mhm.
mitzvah, whatever. I've been invited to all this stuff, man, right? And they told me in school, don't do that. Don't go to the graduation, this and blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm only here for maybe 120 years,
Yeah.
right? Gosh, the people I want to hang out with, I want to know them. I want to love them. I want to be mob doctor. Don't you want to be the mob agent? The boss agent, you only sell houses for one family. What, don't you want to be that? How
That's
many people,
hilarious. Yeah,
cousins, all this? You just need to be one agent for their family,
yeah,
right?
that'd be awesome for sure. To build that
Oh,
trust, to be able to create that knowability, likability, the frequency you're talking about. It's not rocket science, but at the same time, it is science. There is a science to
there
this.
is.
Now, I really enjoyed my time coming to your men's mastermind, and it really made me kind of look back. It's like, oh my God, this guy is more than just a doctor, right? You had, I don't know if there was any doctor. There are a couple of doctors there, but most of them were just business owners, right? Most of them are just regular people, right? And I feel like you probably have had that interaction with a lot of people out there, men, women alike. What do you see as common mistakes or pitfalls, when it comes to professionals, business owners, whatever it could be, right, make when they neglect holistic growth?
What is the mistake they make when they well, oh, that's easy one.
Yeah.
They put the doctor on the pedestal. They put the doctor on the pedestal like he's got some kind of key, a red phone to the man up top, and the more money you put in, the more da 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 da. No, like like they put the doctor on the pedestal, and what they don't put on the pedestal is the power that made the body.
Mm,
And that's the key, is like enable people, enable your people, tell them, go look on Zillow and go see for yourself. That's not going to hurt you.
mm,
Yeah, you think you're going to get all these different suggestions? They're going to see for themselves the work you put in to do
yeah,
that. Enable them to do the learning on their own, to educate themselves,
yeah,
direct them, right? Filter out the bullshit for them too. Be approachable,
yeah,
right? So when they bring something to you, as you know, your wife has brought to me, you brought to me these ideas. Oh, I heard this was good for me, or oh, how can we use this soy type of product, this or that, and like, oh well, contrary to common belief, like this is processed different, so it worked. And like, oh well, that's great to know, right? Like, humble ourselves before the ego
mm,
and have no expectations, right? Leave all
yeah,
expectations at the door
mm,
and watch what comes to you. Like, just show up and really see what comes to you, because the pitfall is putting the doctor in the pedestal, believing that the answers that you seek are outside of you. That's the pitfall, essentially.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
put
yeah,
that person on the pedestal, but when you see that the answers are inside of you, that even in the Boss Agent Academy that you have, that the academy is just structuring an environment so that the
yeah,
real you can come out, the real agent comes out. The
yeah,
hard way for doctors, I don't teach doctors how to treat or take care of people. I know that my system is going to allow that doctor to come out in their own unique way.
mm,
That everybody dances just a little bit differently. So I want your own style to come out. I don't want
yeah.
it to be, oh, this is Dr. Josh's technique. No, this is your technique that was inspired by the laws
The
of
structure.
nature,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Take it with you and do something with it, you know?
And
Uh,
we see that definitely agents that are, not doing what they need to be doing, maybe not seeing the results they want to see. They're pointing fingers at the broker. They're switching brokers, thinking that, okay, if I go to this broker, I'm going to automatically become successful. And I make these comments a lot online, like, hey, if you're going to choose, if switching brokerages will not solve the problems you needed to solve to begin with, right? Like,
yeah.
meaning, just putting power in the hands of someone else, right? Thinking that, okay, if I just switch to a better hand, I'm gonna automatically start seeing different results. And with the end of the day, they face the cost of ignoring that holistic growth, right? And so what are some consequences for business owners only focusing on, maybe transaction side of things, maybe, being profit driven, right? And ignoring the personal and professional development.
Well, it's your soul. It's your peace of mind. You know,
Mm,
it's your ability. I call it the pillow test. Your ability to lay your head on the pillow and know that you've done that day in good conscience.
yeah.
Like, that's the risk. That's what's on the table here. You
Hmm.
know, we're not talking about just the instant reward of a transaction that
Yeah.
gave you a plus $10,000. We're talking about maybe you did something a little, out of integrity or whatever it may be, and now you got to live with that for the rest of your life. But it's only a little, but it's just a little bit, yeah. But that's with you forever, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So I always just say that the consequence of you're not elevating yourself in what you do and whatever it is you do, especially in real estate, is going to be your soul. It's going to be your conscience. It's going to be your integrity. And you can change your name. You
Yeah.
can move to some other place. You can change your firm. That's you, there's what do they call it? The body keeps account or something like that. Like you like
So
even
I would say, like, especially integrity, right? This is
yes,
something you can break. Everyone has the freedom to do it, right?
yes,
People make the choices they want
mhm,
to make. But when we go to sleep at night, our soul is aware what our body did, because
yes,
it comes out of it, and it has that, the outer body experience, and it is aware. It is aware what is not part of, right? So the soul is aware what the body does. And when you break your integrity, when you're not holistic with your approach, you're not growing, and you take the easy way out and you take shortcuts, your soul is aware. You're affecting. The way I see it, I take the easy way out, I cheat someone, I do all of that. End of the day, I live with it, right?
yep. You're
My
only cheating
soul is
yourself,
aware.
really.
Faking it, I think the biggest thing in the real estate industry, faking it till you make it, right? When you're faking it until you make it, you might make it, but your soul is aware that it faked it until you make it.
Yeah.
End of the day, you're the one who's facing the imposter syndrome. You're who's facing the fear, the scarcity of confidence and all of that. It's because the soul is aware.
Yeah, and that's a big pitfall, and that's I think fundamentally that's what it is, because we have our names and your name's on, yeah, but you could change your name, you can move to somewhere else, and you can get a new name and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it really goes back to something on a soul level,
Mm.
and that is always there. You've been around people where you don't even know them. You're just like, man, I just don't feel right around this person, or or you see somebody and you're like, man, that person kind of reminds me of this person, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
maybe it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, and then you're like, yeah, no way. And then like later on it turns out, oh my gosh. And you're like, is it that they look like them? And it's like, no, they don't really look like them. Here's what's happening. Your Holy Spirit, your subconscious, we call it your autosuggestive system, right? For lack
Yeah.
of a better term,
Yeah.
scientifically speaking.
Yeah.
Your autosuggestive system, your psyche, it has already quantified everything, and it has said, hey, the vibes I'm getting, I don't speak English, because your right brain doesn't speak English. Left brain is ego, will give you words. There's a part of you that doesn't give you words, that doesn't tell you not to do it. You just know you shouldn't. There's
Yeah.
no voice telling you shouldn't, right? That part of your psyche, oh my gosh, you can't go against that part. And when you
Mm.
contradict that part of your psyche, it's going to show up, and you're like, what did I
Yeah.
see in this person? And what you're seeing, the familiarity you see, man, that reminds me of that person. That
Yeah.
was your subconscious way of telling you,
Yeah.
is that person's just like this person, right?
Mm.
So you'll
Yeah.
see this when you're showing a house. You're like, you remind me exactly of this one client. Okay.
deja,
um
deja vu experience, right?
yeah, and everybody will say this, right? So trust your intuition. Like
Yeah.
seriously. Like when you're doing everything you're doing analytically, you're putting out feelers, you're doing cold calls, you're knocking on doors, you're kissing babies, shaking hands, you're doing all that stuff, right? You're doing all of that. The place you're not working at most is in the spiritual world, where all of your credit needs to be earned,
Mm.
right? And so when everybody wants to thank you so much for selling me this house. I said, don't you dare thank me. Thank the Lord for bringing me to you. Thank
Mm.
the power, right? Understand whatever that is for them. No
Credit.
judgment. I say,
Yeah.
look, there's a higher power that brought us together. Acknowledge it.
Mm.
Don't be afraid to do it, right? Remind them of that, because
Yeah.
that's a reminder to them. They're like, oh, no one said something like that to me in
Mm.
a long time. It's a reminder to them and you, right? Let them know that something bigger brought us together. I'm so happy. So give thanks to that. When you
Mm.
do that, the person goes home and before bed they say, thank you so much for bringing this house to me. Thank you so much for bringing Jason, the realtor. He was the best, right? And now the power up top in the spiritual world is saying, damn, man, they got a bunch of tallies over here of how many times Jason could have took the credit for connection with the house, but he gave that to me,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So give credit where credit is due,
Yeah.
freakers, right? And give credit where credit is due. Is say, hey, look, we were brought together because of a divine force, whatever that is for you. Let's acknowledge that,
Yeah.
right? I'm good at what I do, but this is something more here. And when you can acknowledge that and they witness it, people will feel infinitely connected to you. Like
Yep.
it is something special because it is, right?
Yeah.
It's something that really is special. And that's the biggest thing is like do good deeds, give, I always say the 3 G's, gratitude, which is giving thanks,
Mm.
giving, which is with on your shirt, thanks and giving, and the third one is getaway. The 3 G's. You got to get away from your work. Real estate agents, you got to get away from your work.
Mm.
Get away from your work and let your work do its work. I
Yeah.
know a lot of times you want to call the person more. I know all the times you're like, the title company. Oh, I gotta get some words. And it's good that you're doing that, but get away from your work. The more you got your hands on the deal, the
Yeah.
less the deal is actually happening, especially if you have structure in place. Get away,
Yep.
right? Get away from your work and watch the power just do all the work
Mm.
for you.
Yeah.
And you show up and you just receive that commission, right? And you just show up
Yeah.
because there's a bigger narrative happening. All of the houses that you ever hope to sell have already been sold. All the houses that you ever will sell are already there, or they're
Yep.
planning on being built.
Yep.
Everything you need is already there.
Yeah.
You got to gain access to it. And man, I've known you, and very quickly, I know that you are vibrating at a frequency that is the key to helping others gain access to that infinite source of opportunity. And I'm so happy that you saw that in me too when it comes
Yeah.
to healing,
No.
because I know the power that made the body heals the body. As
Mm.
much as you guys like to give me credit, it's only because I know that that power, and I have faith so much in that power. I
Mm.
know it's going to heal you if we just get the crap out of the way. Your
Yep.
agents, if they get the crap out of the way, and the thoughts, the traumas, the toxins, and the technology, they get the crap out of the way, and they have
Mm.
better relationships with that, and they are going to transcend we call quantum leap overnight. Quantum leap. And
Hmm.
always give thanks. Remind people to give thanks, because when it's time for you to ask for something, how much money you got earned in the spiritual realm, we call it karma cash. You do things just for good karma cash, it will come back. The
Yeah.
failure in it all is when we build up a lot of karma and we're too scared to ask for more.
Mm.
That's a big fear,
Yep.
right? Is we're too scared to ask for more. We're too scared to maybe ask for a bigger commission when we know we're worth it, right? We're too scared to ask for more. You've earned it. And we may die with millions of dollars in the karma cash. Good, you get to use it in the other world. Or maybe if you want to, you can use it now. You have to ask for it and you have to earn it. Don't think your transactions are coming to you.
Mm.
They are coming from you. Your clients, your buyers, your consumers, my clients, they don't come to me, they come from me. And if
Mm.
you remember that, then the 4 T's, working on yourself, the holistic building of a thriving real estate industry and life, is all about that, is about investing in you, because
Yep.
your people come from you, not to you. If you
Mm.
understand that, you will create an infinite amount of buyers and sellers and clients that you can never even handle. You just have to create them. They come from you, right? They don't come to you,
Amazing.
they come
Yeah.
from you.
No, for sure. I think this is something we teach in our time management, right? We get a lot of agents. They come to us like, "Oh, I'm already making, over 6 figures, and I just don't have enough time to be able to make more," right? And usually we just look into their like, okay, what's your time structure like, right? And they're not taking time off. And how do we fix it? It's not by getting them to do more; it's getting them to do less. Like you gotta take 2 hours a day off. You gotta take one day a week off. You got to take
Gotta get
1 week
away.
in the month off. You got to take one, vacation in the quarter.
Yeah,
And that's it. That's usually how they get more time. I don't know
yeah,
how. Like I don't know. Every single time you just start taking time off, and you end up with more time. And it's because we are just plugged in all the time and we're running burnt out, right? So it's like we don't get away, right? And then something else you mentioned, and it was interesting, but to kind of close up this conversation, two questions in one question, okay? So what is the mindset shift necessary for business owners, real estate agents to fully embrace the idea of holistic growth and transcendence? And then what are the first steps to take to start applying, you know, this in their daily routine?
man, that's a really good question too. What is the mindset shift? I'll share the mindset shift that happened for me.
Mm.
Once I realized that almost everything I was being told was a
Yeah.
lie or was the opposite,
Mm.
that's when I started to shift and I became a seeker. Okay. So the big shift that needs to happen is you need to be a seeker. Okay. You need to constantly being a seeker, seeking growth, seeking opportunity. You need to be like Jim Carrey and Yes Man. And then eventually you have to become the opposite and No Man, right? But knowing when to appropriate the yeses and nos
Yeah.
is very, very important, right? Is
Yeah.
having the wisdom to know the difference between when I should and shouldn't apply my knowledge and power.
Mm.
Discernment. That's
Yeah.
probably the best way I can answer that question, is
Yeah.
discernment. Knowing when to discern and allocate. And the way that I teach the men is in the mindset shift that we talked about, is understand that you don't have to be alpha with all of your transactions or sigma or theta. Like you have access to changing how you are as an agent, permission to
Mm.
change the radio station, right? We
Yeah.
use the analogy that if you're in the car with your friends, you're listening to one music, and with your wife, you're listening to another music, and with your kids, you're listening to a different music. You don't want to listen to Coco Melon when you're with your boys and you guys are about to do a drive-by. You don't want to be listening to Coco Melon. Oh, then again, you may be the most feared gang in the community is the Coco Melon crew, man. They got Coco Melon on. You
The
start
Coco
running,
Gang.
bro. You start running, man. You see the Coco Melon, get out. Right? No, right? You got to appropriate. So sometimes,
That's
you're
hilarious.
coming into a family and you can't be this
Yeah.
aggressive freaking, agent. Sometimes people come with a family and I
Mm.
got to be this calm, cool, collective Dr. Josh who's normally excited, high energy, right? So I have to know when to appropriate. I have discernment, right?
Yeah.
Discernment is a big shift. And once you understand that discernment doesn't entrap you, but it gains access to more
Yeah.
opportunity because it frees you up from having to be one way, which
Mm.
is what I feel like everybody loves about me is that as much as I have part of my identity as a chiropractor, I can easily shift the radio station to a different type of conversation,
Yeah.
right? And it's something that you like to listen to as well, right?
Mm.
And I like country, I like hip hop, I like rock, I like all different types of whatever gets me going and vibing, right? And that is what I feel like is important is a mindset shift. To answer the first part of your question, is the mindset shift that they need is discernment.
Mm.
The best tools that I almost always say is find some sort of structure.
Yeah.
It could be like a management system. It could be a guru. It could be the Boss Academy, right? Find some sort of structured system because it's going to give you freedom. And the way that it's going to give you freedom is because a system is organized knowledge.
Yeah.
That's how organized knowledge gets you freedom,
Yeah.
right? You follow the system and just follow the system,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And those are the tools that you can use when it comes to healthcare. You first have assessment tools, right? So as agents, you need to have assessment tools. You can't just imply, hey, you probably need an adjustment. You probably want to sell a house and you have kids. I already know. Sit down with them, have an assessment, right?
Yeah.
Do the diagnostics first
Mm.
and have a consultative approach
Yeah.
with them. And they're just going to feel, especially those times when the deal goes a little solid or they're like, look, man, I really can't get 5,000 extra for you. They don't look at you like you're the bad guy. They're like, you know
Yeah.
what? Jason really worked hard for us.
Yeah.
He means well, because
Yeah.
we had other yeah, he's a good guy. He doesn't mean it. I think that's what's really important when we're trying to preserve our integrity
Yeah.
and build trust is almost building it as if the possibility might happen to
Mm.
where some situation almost all transactions don't go as planned.
Yeah.
So operating under that assumption that Murphy's law, anything that could go wrong will eventually go wrong.
Mm.
So plan ahead, and that's what
Yeah.
systems do. Is
Mm.
they help to prepare you for things that you may not have been prepared for yet because you're a
Yeah.
new agent or you're a new doctor, right? And so that's what the hard way does is it prepares the new doctors for things that they may not be getting and learned yet. And we
Yeah.
want to help them from having to learn the hardest way,
Yeah.
which is experiencing all the thousands of dollars of
Trials and errors.
stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's essentially, what's important is discernment. And you can use discernment in choosing your structures as well, right? And
Mm.
that's important to choosing a doctor. That's
Yeah.
important to choosing a mentor in any industry.
Yeah.
And it's important that the person has his head on straight. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now, I have evidence and proof to say that your head is on straight. If anybody wants to tell you,
This
I
is
have
Scanner.
evidence that his head is on straight. And so only work with people whose heads are on straight. Put it that way. It's like,
Yeah.
man, when their head doesn't seem on straight, they may be a little all over the place, right? But that's because you're blessed and highly favored, man. And God just keeps speaking to you because nobody else is receiving. He's like, look, Dita will do 10 times more than everyone else, man. He's got it. Give it to him, right?
Yeah.
This dude's got it. So really just learn how to discern that, and that can help you and I also calm down our thoughts and where
Yeah.
we need to go in our lives. So discernment and being a part of some sort of structure, some
Yeah.
sort of management system. Management I don't really like too much. And what we call our platform is a public mastery and leadership course. That's what it is. Because
Yeah.
we don't do things private practice. We do public
Yeah.
mastery. What we do is a mastery, and we lead,
Mm.
right? Leading is really important because it becomes an example. And a huge part of leadership is your proteges have to become better than you. So one of the best testaments of success for you, my brother, is going to be when people go out and they learn from you and they go out and create academies of their own, because there cannot be enough academies. And I know you don't want too many people in your academy because
Yeah.
how can you serve them all to the highest level?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. No, I have had brokers that have done 5 times than my best year, right? So I have definitely seen the impact, the possible impact. And I think we were talking about that inside of your salt room. If I don't need to serve million people, I need to serve thousand that could serve thousand, right?
Yes,
And that
yes.
to me stood out. I was like, that's exactly what I was thinking. Well, when I was starting the academy, is that I need to stop selling 100 houses a year and start serving 100 agents a year, because those 100 agents, serve 100 families. That's 10,000 people in a year, right?
You
Instead of
still
just
need to sell about 10 houses a year to still be like in the trenches and like
yeah.
learn and get feedback,
Oh
right? But
yeah,
that's
for
just
sure.
like,
Yeah,
oh, I just do, yeah, I sell houses on the side, I make it, I don't care, right? I just learn. That's my
yeah.
research,
No,
right?
no,
What you're really selling is your knowledge, and
yeah,
that's where we got to get out of the grind. And that's what I appreciate about you is most men, we die in the grind. We make $1 million working 80 hours a week, and we have nothing to show for it. We're all sick. I want men to learn a way to get out of the grind, stop
yeah.
glorifying the grind, and get into the sharpening phase. Make 40 hours, 80 hours of money in 4 hours a week.
Hmm.
And I know you're on that path of getting out of the grind, which is why I resonate highly with you, is because you see how important it is for men to get out of the grind and into the sharpening phase, because it
Yeah,
is our potential. And that's going to give us access to that life where we just walk around, do whatever we want, go wherever we want to go, swipe the card wherever we want to go, and just live freely. That's
yeah,
coming, y'all.
yeah,
But you got to live uncomfortable for a few years
yeah.
to live freely for the rest of your life. You got to trust the
That's amazing.
process.
Yeah. Last question. Okay, I know we could go forever. Okay,
You're
but
good.
some agents that we work with, right, might resist change, right? And we see that a lot, and I'm sure you have seen that a lot through your practice, because people come to you and they think one way, and then you try to take them to the holistic route. They're still like, oh, my other doctor said this, and my cousin said this, and my mom said this, right? Like, I guess, like, resisting that change, how do you help them overcome this resistance?
Well, in a couple of simple ways, if nothing changes, nothing changes,
Yeah.
right? So we asked, is anything changing in your life? No. Well, why? Have you changed anything? No. So if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? Einstein said if we keep doing the same things expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity, right?
Yeah.
And resistance, right? Look at the salmon. The salmon resists the stream. It goes against the grain. Muscle is also not created without resistance as well. So there
Mm,
comes a point where we have to uh, embrace some of the stress,
yeah.
and there's a certain amount of resistance that needs to be had, sure, right? But does the coal resist the stress when it's being made into a diamond? No, it embraces it. It stays true to its core. And that's what's very important is if you stay true to your core and you embrace the stress, almost accept it. You seek it out. You're hungry for it, right? You're like, man, why would you do that? Isn't that stressful? Like, yeah, that's the point. Like, they're like, you're freaking crazy, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, baby. It's the same thing. Why would you lift that much weight? Are you crazy? Like, look at these muscles. You're crazy, man. You want my muscles? Then you gotta be crazy, man, to do that, right? So you kind of gotta be like that. You gotta be a little crazy, right? To resist change. You gotta be a rebel. You gotta go
Mm,
against. You gotta be the salmon. And you know
mm,
what? The salmon is so beautiful. It's for a legacy. Why? Why resist change? Because your legacy is at the mercy of it. Your
yeah.
legacy. And if not for you, it's what you're leaving behind. If you even believe something ever is being left behind. If
Mm,
not, then you better not have life insurance because nothing's left behind, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So the biggest thing that we say is the legacy is like live as if you're leaving a legacy, and what is that legacy that you want to live for yourself? And if you go into life with that and you've structured yourself behind that, I don't see why you cannot continue to be blessed and even more highly favored than you already are.
Mm.
You know?
No, that's amazing. There you guys have it, Dr. Josh. Those of you who are interested in maybe learning more about, taking a holistic approach to your life, to your business, to take a different approach. If you're not getting the results you want with your health, with your life, and with your business, right? Feel free to reach out. He's out in Sterling Heights, especially if you're in Michigan. But he also, works with people that are remote, right? Correct,
Yes.
doctor?
work
Yeah.
with you anywhere in the world, whether it's with healthcare or if we just want to get into the psychology and the mindset and just helping you to become the best version of yourself. We got labs across the world and doctors that we're connected with that we can just send you out to get everything that we need. And thank goodness with technology, we can receive that information. And at the very least, I'll be the person to connect you with somebody else who can. You know, I'm a connector.
That's amazing. I appreciate you everything you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to this journey that we are on with you, and being able to provide the same value, bring that same energy to our academy. Now, those of you who are listening in, if you're struggling with consistency, with mindset, or just trying to figure out how to win in this market, we are here to help. Our team offers a free clarity call where we do a deep dive into your business, identify the challenges holding you back, and show you exactly how to create a winning strategy. So don't wait until it's too late. This is the time to take action. I'll put the link to our calendar in the comments of this video, and I'll also tag Dr. Josh on this video. You can reach out to him, you can send him a message. He's definitely approachable, and let's build a business together and thrive in this market, no matter the market condition. Until next time, see you guys then.
Bye, everybody.